welcome to the Houston Solar Co-op information session, the last of our information sessions. I'm glad you could join us. Feel free to enter into chat as you join, what area of Houston you're from and how long you've been thinking about solar, but we will go ahead and begin. And I want to start by thanking our partners. We're excited to have collaboration with the City of Houston, because this work with the Houston Co-op accelerates the Climate Action Plan, and Rocky Mountain Institute and World Resource Institute helping to reach out to all people to try and get solar accessible for all. The Houston Renewable Energy Group, Texas Interfaith Power and Light, South Union CDC, or Community Development Corporation, and the Houston Sierra Club. So thank you to all of our partners for making this co-op a huge success. Just housekeeping, you all know this probably by now, but you can join with just audio if you'd like. Submit your questions into the chat box if you have any, and we are joined by Vincent Jerkovich, who's our Go Solar specialist, and he will be answering questions in chat, and then we'll take breaks in between and to see if there's any that we need to answer as a group. And just so you know, this webinar is being recorded. We will send around the recording or send you a link to the recording after it's done. All right. And so I want to share a little bit about us, Solar United Neighbors. We're a nonprofit. We're not affiliated with any company or product. We rely entirely on the community engagement and involvement. So our goal for this co-op and for Solar United Neighbors of Texas is to make going solar feel not complicated. It should not feel complicated. We give you unbiased help that you might need to find the right system for your home with quality installation at a great price. So brief overview of our national work. We've organized over 290 solar co-ops since founding in 2007. We've helped 5,700, over 5,700 homes go solar. We've educated tens of thousands of people about solar, and we've installed almost 46 megawatts of installed capacity, which is almost 118 million in economic impact. So we're making an impact, which is exciting. How did we get started? Solar United Neighbors began in Mount Pleasant with the Mount Pleasant Solar Co-op in Washington, D.C. back in 2007. Walter, who's pictured on the left, is the son of our executive director, Anya Schoolman. And he and his friend, Diago, were motivated by what they were learning in school, and they came home and said, "Ma, we need to go solar." So Anya looked into it and quickly found that it was not easy back in 2007. But she used her son and her friend. They went door to door. She enlisted the help of about 50 neighbors to untangle the complicated process. And the first group took 2 years, but eventually 45 homes went solar. And after that, Anya was getting calls from people all over the country wanting to organize similar co-ops. So what I love about Solar United Neighbors is not only do we educate about going solar and help people go solar, but we also advocate for our rights to go solar. So as a member of SUN, if you join the co-op, or even if you just become a member of SUN, you'll get emails that share how we can, you'll get alerts about how you can help promote and keep our solar for us, for all of us. You can volunteer as an advocate, and if you're interested, email me after the meeting. It's really important that we not only go solar, but we protect our solar rights. And there's 2 different models. We're going to focus on the co-op model tonight, but you can also go through an individual paid membership. You can become a member of Solar United Neighbors. But the co-op process is where we get a group of neighbors, and in this case, city dwellers, all of us in the outskirts of in Houston and around, to go together, to go solar together and get a discount. When you join a co-op, you become a member of Solar United Neighbors, and it's free to join, and there's no obligation to purchase. And we will spend the rest of the night talking about that. But if the timing doesn't work for you, if you want to just say, you know what, I've already researched, I want to just go solar, but I need a little help. We have a great help desk, and you can become an individual member on a sliding scale and get the benefits of all that Solar United Neighbors can offer. So this presentation will be in 3 parts: solar technology, how the co-op works, and then solar economics. So we're going to jump right into solar technology. And it's like learning a language. So we're going to talk this evening about solar photovoltaic or solar PV technology rather than the solar thermal. And the PV technology converts light energy into usable electricity. And most people going solar have a system set up like this. And I'll talk about each of these components in more detail. But to give you an overview, here's how it works. The solar panels are mounted on your roof and produce electricity. The electricity flows through an inverter where it's converted from direct current to alternating current. And then it connects up to your electric panel where the power gets used up by your appliances. And if you're not using all that power to produce at any moment, it'll go through your meter and out to your neighbors through the grid. So with the solar we're talking about today, we stay connected to the grid. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and Vincent will stop me if I am going too fast or if there's questions we need to address. So again, language. When we talk about solar, we talk about kilowatts, right? A unit of power that is used to describe the system, the size of the system in 1,000-watt increments. So 1,000 watts equals 1 kilowatt. So in this example here, we have a system made up of 10 250-watt panels. It would have a system size of 2.5 kilowatts or 2,500 watts. And then a kilowatt hour is the unit of energy, what you see on your electric bill. It is used to describe the amount of electricity the system will produce over time. Now, the solar system is made up of components, and the solar module itself is made up of components. It's comprised of individual solar cells made of silicon, typically 60 or 72 cells per module. And there's around a 5 by 3.5 size. And so you need open space for these panels. About 60 square foot per kilowatt is what it ends up being with these. And some panels are more efficient, so it takes less space. And some panels are less efficient, it takes a little more space. If you have a small roof, you may want to get panels that are more efficient so you can generate more electricity on that smaller space. The panels are guaranteed to produce power for 25 years, typically 80 to 87% of their first year output at year 25. So they keep on ticking. There's no moving parts, which is what I love about solar. And just full disclosure, that array that you're seeing here in the picture is a 9 kilowatt array, and it's on the roof of our home here in Houston. Okay, and so yeah, you put the different panels together and you make an array. So this happens to have 30 panels of 300 watts each. Okay, other components you need that inverter, and you have choices. Inverters, I'm reminding you, the inverters change direct current to alternating current. And if your array like ours is just in a single plane, and we wanted to do batteries at the time 3 years ago, and it was best for us to use a string inverter. If you're in, and we put optimizers on back of each of the panels, so it was like equivalent of having microinverters. I have all the detail of what the panels are producing on my phone. So, but if your array is a number of different roofs, a number of different angles, then microinverters might be just what you need. Or you may say, you know what, I want microinverters anyway. So you have choices. Your installer will help you to choose what is the best inverter for you. Okay, and then the next component is your electric panel. And if most electric panels have extra space, you can see the blanks here on this panel. They just need 1 blank, 2 blanks to put in the solar array. So most panels don't need to be upgraded. It's rare, but if your panel does need to be upgraded, it typically costs between $1,000 and $1,500. But hopefully you won't need that. The other thing you need then is you need to get the panels mounted. And to get them mounted on a roof, they have flashing and mounting, and then they put the rails on that, and then the panels on the rails. You need airspace behind the panels. If it's ground, you do a ground mount. And I have pictures here of This is an asphalt shingle roof, but if you happen to have a standing seam metal roof, they can be mounted on this metal seams. If you have a flat roof, these happen to be shown between parapets with beams. And then, as I said, ground mount as well. So what makes a good site? Well, you want as much sun as possible, but we like our shade trees. So it's not like you have to cut down all shade, but try and have your array situated so it gets as much sun as possible. Ideally east, south, and west. And avoid north if possible, because you want, again, that direct sunlight. It makes those panels work as efficiently as they're designed to. And then, as I said, the size of the roof would be around 60 square feet per kilowatt. And again, your installer will size that array for you. Although I'm going to pause here and say, your installer will size an array, if you don't give them any other direction, to be maximize either the roof space or maximize to try and get it to make your load, net meter to zero is what I say. Try over the course of the year to generate as much energy as you use over the year. You have the ability to say, I'm going to do phase 1 with just, half of that, and then I'll work on phase 2 next year. So you can design it in phases. You can say, budget wise, I think I only want to spend X amount. So let your installer know that. Okay, so that was to recap. We've covered all those different components. We're going to talk about batteries in a bit, and we'll also talk about how that solar system interacts with your electric bill and how you earn back your investment. So unless I hear from Vincent, I'm going to carry on. So solar net metering. The net metering is where excess production is it's a policy concept. It allows your rooftop solar owners to earn credit for excess generation that they might be able to send to the grid, allowing them to maximize their solar savings. So in the old days, you think of it as rollover minutes on a cell phone. By law, all utilities must be able to account for bidirectional flow of electricity. So you can hook up your array to the grid, and the utilities have to accept your power. The difference is they don't necessarily have to pay you for that excess power. Net metering is when you're in your electric bill, it'll show you electricity used minus electricity produced times the retail rate. If you generate, so while Texas law does not require utilities to net meter, there are certain utility providers that do provide a buyback program, and we'll go into that a little more too. So if you produce extra in a month, ideally you'd want to get credit, and ideally you'd want to get credit at the same rate that you're paying. So if you pay 12 cents per kilowatt hour, you want to get 12 cents back for every kilowatt you give back to the grid, kilowatt hour you give back to the grid. But not all retail energy providers are alike and offering the same kind of plans. And it's often dependent on how big your system is relative to how much energy you use and when you use that energy as to which plan is going to be the best for you. If that all sounds confusing, luckily Solar United Neighbors has partnered with Texas Power Guide, and by being a member of the co-op, or actually anybody who has a solar proposal in hand, can reach out to Texas Power Guide, and they will for free produce an analysis that says, for your usage and your array size and location, here's the best retail energy provider right now at this moment in time. Please note that they can change monthly, right? They can change, and right now there has been some changes, some ripples. So you have to get this test closer to when you're about to have that solar installed or permitted, and then you can switch over for the plan that's best for you. Okay, and an example, and again, these change, but my system that I showed you, that 9 kilowatt array, I have with Green Mountain Energy, they allow me at this time, because I've been in it for a few years now, I can roll over those credits and I can build up a source of credits in my account, which actually is not showing here. I don't think I had a credit on this bill, but I had a very small bill. So it's awfully nice to know that I'm paying back my investment. I'm doing good for the earth and also getting some money towards my investment. So what happens when the power goes out? the system I described to you so far has to shut off instantaneously to protect line workers from back charging, from backfeed. So when the power goes out with a solar system as described, you have no power even though the sun is shining. And that can be somewhat frustrating, especially after Storm Uri, right? So what are your choices? You might want storage if you get those frequent utility outages, if you want that peace of mind. Not necessarily, you can't count on it for that return on investment, right? It's a peace of mind investment. And there are different ways to add batteries to your system depending on your budget and your desire. So I'm going to give you a fictitious homeowner, the Johnsons. They lose power from their utilities several times a year, and each time it's out for a day. So they want a battery bank that will get them through that time. And they have solar, so they can recharge the battery, so they can go day after day after day if they trim their sails and watch their power. So they decided to just do a 6 kilowatt hour battery bank, and they're going to power just the refrigerator, their small microwave, some lights, outlets, cable modem in this case. The key things they're not doing are electric heating, so stove, dryer, electric hot water heater, and their central AC unit, because it's a energy hog and their battery bank at 6 kilowatts wouldn't be able to handle it. I said there's several ways to skin this cat. I have now heard of folks with a lithium ion just putting 2 wall batteries up that have enough capacity to do their whole house without blinking. So, you know, you can skin this cat different ways depending on your budget. And your installer, again, can help you with that. An example of battery costs, again, working with this family with their 5.6 kilowatt array, they invested $14,000 for that. For a 6 kilowatt hour battery bank, they were going to invest $9,000. So you can see that kind of relative cost. And I don't know if Vincent, I'm not watching the chat, but if you wanted to put any links in the chat, we have a great resource on the website for storage, and there's the link there, and Vincent may be able to put it in the chat, that really can help. So if you want to learn more, I'm going over it at a very quick pace, but you can learn more through Solar United Neighbors. So now I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions. What are the warranties? There are 3 different types of warranties. There's a 25-year usually warranty from the manufacturer for producing, a power production warranty for producing electricity. And then the inverters have anywhere from a 10 to 25-year warranty. String inverters are usually 10 to 13 years, but they can have an extension, and then microinverters and DC optimizers are 25 years. So that's one type of the power production warranty. Then there's the product warranty for defects, improper manufacturing, and then there's the labor warranty offered by the installer. And we have seen labor warranties anywhere from 2 to 25. I think this CoOp, the selected installer, is a 20-year warranty. When you sign your contract, make sure you see all those warranties and who to contact. So will it increase my homeowner's insurance? You are adding an asset onto your home's roof. You should let your insurance company know that. They may increase your insurance. If they increase by too much, you might need to shop around. But you do want to let them know that this is an added investment you've made to your home. And does the solar array have maintenance? Most systems are very low maintenance. Normal precipitation will keep the panels clean. You also will have an app. You can monitor production, and you can email if, and they'll email you if something's wrong. But it's not maintenance free, because you do want to have it checked up on occasion, and you want to do visual inspections. And I have, if you have sticky pollen, this is I'm in my 4th year, but my 3rd year, I did have someone come and clean the panels just to get that sticky pollen off. I didn't see much of a difference in the performance, so it was more just because I wanted that. Does the roof need to be new? It should not be old. It should not be on its last legs. If it is, go ahead and get it replaced before you put the solar on, right? You need to do that investment anyway. But if it's got still 10, if it's halfway through or less, you might as well put solar up on it. It will protect the roof over that area. then installers will, you can go out to find costs, but your installer, the select installer will offer you a price per panel to take it down and put it back up again after you re-roof. So it's not the end of the world if you need to re-roof later on. How long do the systems last? 25 years, keep on ticking, right? They're 85% still production, or some value. Some of them are now usually 80 to 85% production's happening still, while they're 25 years. So they keep on ticking. They degrade slightly over time. How long will my HOA allow solar on my home? Texas has a couple of really good laws, and one of them is that by the Texas Property Code 202.010, they state that HOAs are not allowed to include or enforce provisions within their regulations, covenants, or bylaws to prohibit or restrict homeowners from installing solar energy device. They can ask you to shift its location, but if it affects the production more than 10%, then they can't. So that's a great law. We also have a law, I think, maybe I should have mentioned it. Well, I think under the economics, I'll mention that law. What about hail and other things falling on them? This glass that solar panels are made from are very better. They're really strong glass, better than car windows. They are tested and certified to withstand hail of up to 1 inch falling at approximately 50 miles per hour. And hurricanes, most panels are certified to withstand winds of up to approximately 140 miles per hour. Again, if a hurricane's going to take off your entire roof of your home, it's going to take the solar off too, which is why we say make sure you get them insured. But I have seen a picture from Florida where the hurricane took away parts of the roof, but the solar was still intact. So no guarantees, but they're well installed. Okay, Vincent, I'm going to take a breath and say, are there any questions that we should address as a group so far?
No questions.
Okay.
That haven't been answered.
Thank you for answering them. All right, then we'll go on to how does a co-op work. And you know, before we had Solar United Neighbors come to Houston, we had Solarize Houston, which was the same idea of aggregating people together. The solar co-op is a group of homeowners all coming together to get a discount and to get help in the process. Again, trying to take down barriers and making it easy for you. So this process is about collaboration and working together and spreading the word, letting our neighbors know that we found this great way to go solar and we want to include you. So you'll get a good value, you'll get support from us throughout the process. And again, we're an impartial nonprofit. We just want to help people go solar and learn about it if they want. And you get to meet community. I love my fellow solar homeowners. And you become part of this growing solar movement, which is, again, what I love about advocating for solar. So the process, we are now well into this process, but some of you may be joining us for the first time. So you're learning about the co-op. You're signing up, hopefully, at the end of this info session. If you haven't already, you sign up to join the co-op. And again, no obligation to buy. It's free to join. And then you tell your neighbors and friends. We are already at something like over 200 members of this co-op. So it's great. And the last day to sign up is June 30th. And then you all come together as a selection committee. So members of the co-op volunteer to spend a long evening looking over a lot of responses to our bid request and selecting the installer that's best for the co-op based on what you all have said you're interested in. And so we've done that. Last Monday, a week ago, we met, looked over 14, and I'll go into this more later. I'm jumping ahead of myself, but this co-op already knows their selected installer. We then have a deadline, right? So that's June 30th for this co-op. Then our installer gets to work and schedules site visits and gives you individualized proposals for based on your input, your electric need. And then you have an opportunity to sign a contract. You would sign that with the installer, not with Solar United Neighbors. That would be between you and the installer. The installer then installs the system after its permits have been accepted and approved, and then you wait for it to the permission to operate. And then when everybody's gone solar, we party. We celebrate that. So that's our process. And then the co-op ends, right? Then that's the end of that co-op. So it's not. This isn't for life. This is for the life of this process. And it usually takes around 8 months, but we're in month 3 at this point in time. And so I should have given you a little more foreshadowing, but yes, we have met, and we had a selection committee of 14 members, and we had 13 bids to review, and the selection committee did a great job. And after 3 hours of deliberation, they selected Icon Power. They selected them because they have a good selection of high quality product, including nice battery selections, because there was a lot of people in this co-op interested in batteries. We'll see how many decide to do batteries, but it's an amazing number that are interested. And I think that's the effect of Storm Uri. They also have a great warranty of 20 years. So it's a good all-around firm. They have, they know the Solar United process. They have been involved in other co-ops, so we're excited to have them on board. But let me reiterate that who picked that solar installer? It was the solar co-op participants. It was the selection committee, and it wasn't just price, it wasn't just equipment quality, it wasn't just warranties, it was a mixture of all of these components together. Okay, and now we'll get into the solar economics if you're still with me. And again, we say we help bring down the price, and I want to, this graph helps us see over time the price of solar has come down. That's what's the system components in purple, right? And they found quicker ways to install it. It's a plug and play, it's almost, and so the labor has come down as well relative to the overall cost. What hasn't come down is the soft costs, or that cost of getting warm, educated leads or people in front of the installer so that they can say, you want to go solar. And that's what Solar United Neighbors with our co-ops helps do. And in this case, we're bringing to Icon, over 200 educated, hopefully all of you are educated leads that might really be interested in going solar. So that's how we help. I sound like a salesperson when I say this, but there's never a better time to go solar than now. Luckily, we have the federal income tax credit has been maintained at 26% for this year and next year, but it's will go down after that. And so, or it may go down after that, depending on the administration, what they elect to do. But again, you never know what's going to happen with shortages, like battery prices going up and down based on how the demand is. So it's always a good time to go solar in my mind. I'm sorry if I sound like a salesperson, but again, I don't know if I said this earlier on, but I've had solar on my homes for over 20 years and I've never regretted it. Okay, again, learning the language, solar is priced by the watt, not by the panel. So when you tell me I have 30 panels, it doesn't give me enough information. I need to know how many watts your system is, how many kilowatts, and then what is the price. And the price we use in our info sessions is an average of what we've seen in our co-ops over the last few years. And so it's come down. It used to be $275. We're now using an average of $250 a watt. And when you join the co-op, you will get a offers detail from Icon and you will see what their pricing is. It's very much in the range, and it depends on, again, what your equipment selection is. But this, if you did a 5 kilowatt array, out of pocket, or your initial cost would be $12,500. Yeah, $250 a watt. But remember, it's a long-term investment. There's no moving parts. It's got a 25-year lifespan. So it really, and as the price of electricity goes up, your return on your investment increases. And this is the other law that Texas has, which I really appreciate. A renewable energy system, property tax exemption, and we will remind you of this when it comes to, if you've gone solar with us this year, we'll remind you of it in the beginning of next year. You just one time fill out this state tax form, and it's an exemption. You have added, say, $20,000 to your home value, and that will show up on your MLS sheet, but you don't have to pay taxes on that added value, which is great. Okay, I think that's that panel. In addition, while funds last, we are fortunate here in Houston and with Solar United Neighbors to have Centerpoint in association with Sun offering an incentive for qualifying installations. So it's just an added cherry on top, as Icon Power said. If the exact amount will vary depending on your installation, your orientation and azimuth and all that good stuff. Centerpoint is is trying to shave demand, peak demand. So south facing and west facing, I think will get a higher incentive, but it could be as low as $80 a kilowatt. But if you did a 10 kilowatt array, that would be $800 additional incentive you would get. So that's nice. All right. Texas is not straightforward in anything, right? They don't have one net metering law. It depends on a lot of things on how this return on investment goes. So this chart is not as user-friendly as we'd all like it to be, but on a 4 kilowatt array at the 250 a watt, you need to say, okay, I'm going to invest $10,000. But after you do your taxes, if you have the appetite, you'll be able to get a credit on your taxes for 2021 of $2,600, right? The 26%. Hidden in here, not shown, is you'd also maybe get, let's say it was $100 from Centerpoint per kilowatt, so another $400. So you would be $7,000 net cost. How much would you save? Depends on the plan you get. It depends on how much you're paying right now for electricity. And again, Fred Anders of Texas Power Guide can help you pick out the best retail energy provider. Your installer can help estimate what your savings will be. And so this range depends on, if you get a good one-for-one net metering, then you're going to see savings over 25 years of upwards over $20,000. So it's very, very nice. Generally, it's a payback between 10 and 15 years. Simple payback. Again, what other investment in your home gives you that payback? I love it. Not everybody has $10,000, $20,000 ready to put down in cash, although that is the best return on your investment. If you happen to have that cash, that's the best way. But that's not always what we have available. And so loans have come a long way. You can get just a loan with your home equity loan through your own bank. You can, Solar United Neighbors has partnered with these credit unions. So for no cost, you could become a member of this credit union and get their low interest rates with no added fees. The installer will have a financing option for you. Just make sure you ask what the added cost is, because there's always an added cost with, so it's not just the interest rate, there's always going to be an added cost. So make sure you kick that tire a little bit. And then there are third-party ownerships where power purchase agreements, and where you just lease your roof and the solar array gets on it and you get the benefit of the energy. I like to see us own our own solar, but you can look into that. And if you want more information, again, Vincent may be able to put this link in the chat. We have real good help on figuring out the financing. And I'll just share one story of this last co-op. A young homeowner, very trepidatious about investing in solar, but knowing she wanted to, this is what she wanted to do. Because the interest rates have come down on her mortgage, she was able to refinance her mortgage at a lower interest rate, add the money on for her solar array, and end up saving money. It was very, very cool. So it's doable. All right, so what next? I hope that I've inspired you all to click on the site for solarunitedneighbors.org Houston and join the co-op. That's the first best next step for me. But also I want to thank our partners again, and Interfaith Power and Light, actually Texas Interfaith Environmental Network of Houston, is inviting you to a plastic-free eco challenge. And so I think for the month of July, you can just do it online and strive. Now that we're out of the pandemic, it might be actually easier to reduce our plastic usage. So they wanted us to know about that and other things they're working on. So we put that slide in. So as I said, join the co-op, please. We'd love you to join, and it's free to join and no obligation to purchase. And also to be part of the community, join the Facebook or listserv. And if you're interested in being an advocate, one of the simplest ways is to write letters to the editor. So we have a network for that too. Okay, and I probably zipped through this. It's supposed to take an hour and I'm only just over a half an hour. So I've gone too fast, I'm sure. So we'll stop and we'll just take questions. But I want to thank you for participating in this info session